Hey, it's Craig from The Academic, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
Before we jump into the music, I want to congratulate you on your new signing with Capitol Records. Tell me about this opportunity and how they kind of discovered your music, and what was it about Capitol that made you guys want to say yes to this deal?
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy story, really, because we were working and operating as like an independent band out of Ireland for a long time. And it was just one of those moments where we like took the pressure off ourselves, and we weren't really worried about whether we were going to like sign with anybody. We were very comfortable in ourselves, and we were playing a tour in the UK. And usually in London it's always like a high pressure gig because, you know, a lot of people are coming to see you, a lot of industry people, but we didn't think much of it at the time. And it was my birthday, and we were like, we just played a gig and like played a gig like it was my birthday. Like I ended up on stage with no top on. And like the next day, our manager said that some of the guys from Capital came in to see us and really liked it, and they wanted to meet. So we like hung out and, you know, talked about music, and they really like loved our story of how we worked really hard over the years. And we felt like they were the kind of people we would like to take on and like be involved in our band and be a part of the family. And it's been great since. Nobody expected to be working under like, but what can you do, you know?
You got signed, and then comes July, you released your debut EP with the label, Acting My Age. And I gotta admit to you, man, like when you dropped this EP, it was on repeat. It was such an incredible 6 songs that you guys kind of created. Take me into the studio and like the creative process of Acting My Age, and what was different this time around now that you had a major label behind you?
I think the EP was definitely like us pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone. We didn't want to rush into another album because we cherish making an album so much that we didn't want to like make the same album. And we had a couple of tracks, and we felt that we should try and push ourselves, work with different people, work in different studios. So a lot of songs were born in the studio, whereas we used to write on the road, and like very quickly in like a sound check we would jam a song. So this time we had to kind of be a little bit more creative, kind of build it from something on a laptop until we could finally get together as a band. So I think the approach to the songwriting was totally different. It gave us more time to be more in our own thoughts and think about the lyrics more. Whereas when we were young and like we just thrashed out a song, you just sing a lyric and go, that's the lyric. But this time we wanted to kind of capture that like being an adult over the last couple of years and some of the life experiences we've had as a band and kind of living in a van together.
And in doing so, what was the reason behind, getting Nick from Kaiser Chiefs on board to be the producer this time around? Was it someone that you guys have been wanting to work with for a while, or did this opportunity kind of just come in front of you guys?
I worked with Nick back on our first album. We done a bit of songwriting together, and we were just looking to get some tracks together, and we ended up in a situation with him where we had these songs, and they weren't just like us sitting around with acoustic guitars. They were very in the studio, and he's the reason why we were happy to work with him. He's so wacky as a guy. Like he's kind of like the fifth member that we don't have, which is this guy that like musically there'd be some moments where it's like, I don't know, Nick, that's a bit much. And he's just like, no, trust me, it'll be good. And he kind of helped us go further into the music. And like he started like sampling guitars and stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. We would have never done this. So he was vital in terms of the production.
So you said he was there with the first album, in the helping you out with the writing. Was he also there during the recording process when you guys were working with Tim Pagnotta from Sugarcult for the studio stuff?
No, he we had some tracks that we demoed on like an iPhone, and we we just felt there was 2 songs on that album, and when we went over to work with Tim, these 2 songs are kind of like high on our list. So I think we back and forth with him a little bit when we were recording, just saying like, hey, this is the way it's going. But he wasn't too precious about it.
Now, what's the difference between Nick and Tim as far as like production goes, since you got to experience the two of them, and the first time you had both of them at the same time?
Yeah, I think we were always a big fan of like Tim's production when we were growing up. And I think the album, the tracks that we had written as a band at that point, we always felt that like it would suit his kind of American sound, if that's even the description. But he's got this really like pop, and he knows how to just make a band like really poppy but still maintain the live energy. And so that's why we kind of wanted to go and work with Tim. And then with Nick, we didn't even decide he was producing, we just fell into it. And it was a totally different process. Like Tim was like the producer, and we were going to work with him for like 3 months. Whereas Nick we worked with him in like 3 stints of different times. Like we wrote the song, then we went back and kind of cut the drums in London, and done some like, we even like used some audio from like I recorded here and sent it over. So it was a different way of working. But I feel like when I listen to them back, I only done it the other day, where I listened to the first album and the EP, and they still, you can still hear the same band, but there's just slight differences.
Do you think those slight differences are because it's a different producer, or do you feel like it's just you guys kind of evolving into a bigger type of sound?
Yeah, I think probably with time we've become a better band. I think our music tastes have grown. We were very indie 2000s back then, and since then, like, we've got into more genres of music, and want to like push the lyrical depth and like the soundscape. So I think over time we've probably got better as a studio band.
And the fact that you mentioned with this EP, you guys kind of started it out separately. Do you feel like that was a challenge in itself, or do you feel like that was an easier way of working the cycle or the recording process?
No, I think like today we're back in jamming like the old days, where we have just a couple of mics. We're not trying to be too fancy. But yeah, I think when we were on the road and we were so busy, we were touring all the songs we had, and there was no songs coming. And because we didn't have any time to like get to play them, because usually we would just write a song and then we'd go to a gig and we'd play it. Even if it was good or bad, we'd find out if it was good at a gig. And then over the last couple of years, I think we went quite laptopy and tried to like capture the band whilst like driving in a van, and it helped us. It got us through a kind of very busy period. But I think we only hung out for the first time in like months, and we just had a discussion. We all wanted to kind of go back to the 4 guys in the room, sticks get clicked, and we play a song and see how it goes. And I think that's where we're happiest, is when we're just all together. If there's mistakes, there's mistakes, but it's just like that human interaction that I think we really missed. And this year, although it's been a horrible year in so many ways, it's been nice to kind of connect and kind of go back to what we were like as kind of kids, and recapture the naivety of thinking that the ideas we come up with are good.
And the fact that you guys are, evolving within each release, how do you personally feel that your vocals has kind of grown on this EP, or even on anything else that you're kind of working on?
Yeah, I think actually Nick was pretty good he really pushed me with the approach of the vocal. Whereas I think back when I was a bit younger, it was very like perfect and very calculated. And I think, as I said about Nick being a bit quirky, like the original vocal on Act My Age was like sung in his house, and he was like, when we rented a studio, and I was like, do you want me to re-sing that song? And he's like, no, the way you done it was perfect. Like, it was like it was making me itch. But he was just he's really good at like making sure you save the character or like the kind of brilliance in like that first take, because sometimes you've done it a way that you'll never do it again. And he kind of pushed me to do that on every vocal that we done on the EP.
The fact that you guys got to experience some major like stages and shows with a lot of big bands that you guys got to tour with or open with, how did that kind of impact the way that you guys create music today? Do you guys consider like that big stadium type of live room when you guys are writing music, or has that changed at all? Like, is there any difference?
No, that's one thing I think we've kept, is that before you think of a song as like a radio song or whatever, we always want to make sure that it's, you know, can you see yourself on stage playing that song, for whether it's a small club or if it's a big venue. And we've always kept that at the heart of our songwriting, that it will be easy for people to get involved and like kind of join the band in a way. And like that's the way I approach songs. I don't really have time for songs that I write them, but I'm never that excited. I like the ones that like I think will bring people together and want to enjoy it in a room where there's lots of like chaos and people falling over and stuff.
Now, outside of the EP, you guys also did a cover recently of Lonely This Christmas. What was it about this song in particular that made you guys want to recreate it, make it your own? Like, was there any significance for this song or this artist in particular?
To be honest, the music video alone was one of the reasons why, because it's just so strange. It's just like 4 elderly kind of rock guys sitting around a Christmas tree, and that we wanted to like do that and make a video and like maybe pay homage to it. But we went through a lot of Christmas songs, and I feel some of them are kind of like very gimmicky, and I think we all just enjoy the songs that aren't trying to be anything but a nice Christmas message. And I think with the year that's been in, I think, you know, a lot of people's mental health has suffered, and people will be like lonely this Christmas, being like not able to go and visit people properly. Like Ireland still, like there's people, all 4 of us in the band won't get to see people that we usually would. So it was like a toss up between that, and there was a Blue Christmas by Elvis. We were going to do something along the lines that was a bit more melancholic, because we're sad boys.
Now, to close us off, the fact that, you know, this has been a difficult year for everyone. There's been artists that have struggled in the creative process, and there's been artists that have thrived in the creative process because it's keeping their minds busy and their mental health intact. What has this year been like for you? Has it been easy for you to kind of create, or have you found yourself to struggle a little bit?
I definitely struggled, especially at the start when everybody was like, oh, we're all like stuck at home, we can't go anywhere. And I just felt like anytime you like opened your phone or social media, it was like people like telling you to be creative. And I was like, yeah, it's perfect. Like, this is time to like reconnect, get creative. And then every day I woke up, nothing, like absolutely zilch. And and then when you're forcing it, it's never good. Art is usually never good when it's forced. So I had to take time and just like relax and kind of, you know, I started reading books and stuff because there was no living to do. So it was just staying at home. But then I think we got into the swing of it, and we were able to kind of keep in touch because we were all like from each other. So we didn't feel like we were a band for a while. But then we kind of started figuring it out, and we were lucky we had an EP, really, you know. The EP was brand new to people, so that kept us busy. But I think it's helped me realize that you shouldn't force anything, and it's okay not to be creative sometimes.
I get that completely. Well, thank you, man, for taking the time to talk to me, and congratulations once again with the signing and with Acting My Age. And I can't wait for, you know, live shows to come back, because your band is one band that I have yet to see live. So that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to.
Absolutely. Well, there'll be a name on the guest list for you when we're your way.